Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank the full committee chairman and Senator Flake for a lot of work and cooperation with me on legislation which we want to bring forward and will be bringing forward to stop sanctuary cities policy, to put teeth in existing federal law, which says that local law enforcement has to cooperate with immigration enforcement. So I thank you. You've been very active on that, and the full committee chairman and Senator Flake and others who are working with me on that. And hopefully I think we're going to move that soon in committee. Thanks to you both for your service. Ms. Saldana, the White House, through the press secretary, recently suggested that the murder of Kate Steinle was made possible because Republicans refused to pass the large immigration bill, which included an amnesty, during the last Congress. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I declined to engage in this political discussion. I'm just interested in law enforcement and making sure that the immigration laws are enforced.
Okay. Do you agree or disagree with that suggestion?
I have no opinion one way or the other. I'm focused on a very important job under the immigration laws and really would prefer to work on that and answer questions related to that than political questions. That just doesn't advance the ball for...
I agree it doesn't advance the ball, and I agree Josh Earnest's statement was insulting to a lot of people, including the victims. Let me ask you this. How is your action to block sanctuary city policy through the priority enforcement program going to be any more effective than it has been through the Secure Communities program? Obviously, it has been completely ineffective through that.
Lots of controversy, lots of litigation arising out of the secure communities. The differences are significant, particularly, I believe, as we talk to more jurisdictions, they'll see this more clearly. The distinctions are material. For example, one of the problems in that Clackamas County case was that there is no basis to detain someone at the state or local level beyond 48 hours, which was what our request was, to detain them beyond 48 hours beyond what their underlying offense called for. Under PEP, we are only asking for 48 hours notice before the release of an individual, unless we have probable cause, in which case we've got indications of a true violation with evidence that we can show the local jurisdiction. Then we ask for detaining that person the 48 hours.
And so under this new policy to try to stop these abuses from happening, first of all, I'm glad that we're finally doing this from the administration. Under this new policy, what's going to happen if and when a local jurisdiction does not comply?
Well, this is one of the things I'm considering. I, along with the victims this morning, do not want to see their lives go, without being addressed.
I hope we can all agree about that, but the bottom line is there's no consequence now. There's no teeth now. Nothing happens to these local jurisdictions. So if this is a brand new day brought on by these horrific incidents, what's going to happen to these local jurisdictions?
I'm in the middle of looking at that because, as you know, we just started implementing PEP within the last
So you don't know that anything's going to happen to them?
No, we're going to work towards that, sir. I want to talk to more jurisdictions to understand exactly what the problems are with respect to their accepting our cooperating with us. And once I understand their local problems, I think I can help them better to help figure out a solution. I don't want to be one of these people that comes in and says, I'm with the federal government and I'm here to help.
After you say pretty please 3 times and they don't comply, is there going to be any negative consequence?
I'm looking at that, sir, and working with the secretary to see what we can do with respect to that.
So you have not determined yet that there will be any negative consequence?
The program has been in effect for about 3 weeks, sir. We just started. We asked for a chance.
Well, there were some victims' families here who asked for a chance, and their chance is gone in terms of their family member. 3 weeks. This has been going on for years, and you still are not prepared to say that there is ever going to be any negative consequence to those jurisdictions. When is that going to change?
I presume when you all address comprehensive immigration reform, perhaps it can be addressed there.
Oh, now we're going to the Josh Earnest line, right?
The what, sir?
Ridiculous. Now we're going to the political line you just disavowed.
Comprehensive immigration reform, to me, is not political. It's essential legislative effort to try
And
to get...
absent Congress passing that bill that you and the Obama administration prefer, you don't think right now we can stop sanctuary cities from flaunting federal law? You don't think right now there can be any negative consequences when they do not properly cooperate under existing federal law with immigration enforcement?
And that's what I understand you all are working on.
Are you working on it? You have the authority to do that now.
Sir, not according to certain jurisdictions. A federal district court in Oregon, for example, has ruled against us on mandatory detainers, even citing the language that says shall. So I'm looking forward to looking at the legislation that's being proposed to address these questions. I want a solution too, sir.
Well, we've been asking to a solution for that about sanctuary cities for years. There's been absolutely no effort from the administration before. Now there's a promise of an effort, but still today, after these tragedies, you're not prepared to say that you'd support any negative consequence to sanctuary city jurisdictions if they don't properly cooperate. I eagerly await y'all to finally say that, to finally say, yes, there needs to be some consequence, because that is the only way it's going to stop throughout hundreds of jurisdictions around the United States.
And Senator Vitter, I offer you my assistance if you would like my input with respect to any legislation you propose to try to resolve this or get
I'm asking for your input right now. What should the negative consequence be that you will support?
Well, I'm hopeful that I don't have to hit somebody over the head with a federal hammer and work with these state and local jurisdictions, which have their own specific problems to address. I think you understand that, Senator, and that's why I'd like to work with you to try to address it jurisdiction by jurisdiction.
Unfortunately, the biggest thing I understand is that you are not prepared today, as we speak, even after these horrible tragedies, to support a single negative consequence against a sanctuary city jurisdiction if they do not properly cooperate with immigration enforcement. That's unfortunately the biggest thing I understand. If that's incorrect, please tell me how. I'm eager to hear that.
It is incorrect.
Okay, so what negative consequence will you support?
Whatever you all propose with respect to legislation, I would like to work with you on it to see what we can do to help our communities as opposed to put roadblocks in their way in their community policing.
And will you tell us what you would support in that regard right now?
You know, sir, I am so focused on trying to correct the problem through our PEP program that I'd be happy to work with you with respect to any legislation you propose.
Thank you, Senator Vitter.